It was one of those rare evenings when the world outside seemed to pause, leaving only the quiet, familiar cocoon of our apartment. Daniel was sprawled on the couch, phone in hand, scrolling lazily through messages and social media, completely absorbed in his own world. I felt playful, light, in the mood to stir up a little laughter and break the monotony of the week. I decided to make a harmless joke, teasing him about another man. I imagined his reaction, rolling his eyes, laughing, maybe nudging me playfully like he always did. But the moment the words left my lips, the air shifted. The laughter I expected never came. Instead, an icy silence fell, like a sudden winter chill cutting through a sunny afternoon. At first, I thought he was playing along, maybe pretending for dramatic effect. But when I looked up, I saw it. The subtle pause in his fingers, the narrowing of his eyes, the tight line of his lips. That pause pressed down on my chest, heavy and suffocating. I tried to laugh it off, my voice light. "Relax," I said. "I'm just joking." But his gaze didn't soften. It pierced me, sharp and intense, like a silent accusation I hadn't anticipated. My playful tease had awakened something I couldn't see, and with a sinking heart, I realized the atmosphere between us had shifted irreversibly. He put his phone down slowly, deliberately. The soft thud against the coffee table echoed louder than any words could. Then he turned to me, and I froze. The look in his eyes was unlike anything I'd ever seen. Hurt disbelief and a quiet, controlled anger that made my stomach drop. I understood immediately that this wasn't just a joke gone wrong. This was deeper. Something fragile had been disturbed. My mind raced, my heartbeat spiked, and yet I couldn't find a way to undo what I'd just done. The familiar, playful Daniel I knew had vanished, replaced by someone I barely recognized. "Do you really think I'd find that funny?" he asked quietly, almost a whisper, but it cut deeper than any shouting could. There was no anger, only calm, unwavering disappointment, and it shook me to my core. I opened my mouth to respond, but the words stumbled out awkwardly. My laughter, once carefree, now sounded hollow, fake, inadequate. The room seemed to close in on me as the weight of my careless words settled. The joke, I thought harmless, had exposed a vulnerability I hadn't even known existed, and it terrified me. I tried to brush it off, to laugh nervously, hoping time might smooth over the tension, but it didn't. The playful intimacy we had shared for years now felt suspended, fragile and tentative. I searched his eyes desperately, seeking a glimmer of the familiar, a hint that he would let it slide, that we could return to normal. There was none. Instead, I saw the stark clarity of his emotions, emotions I had brushed aside, never considered, never realized could be this raw. In that moment, I understood that trust, once tested, can fracture in ways that cannot be instantly repaired. I didn't mean it that way. I whispered, my voice barely audible and trembling with fear. But even as the words left my lips, I knew they carried no weight. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument we'd ever had. Daniel stood there, calm but unyielding, and I felt a widening gap between us. Some lines, once crossed, cannot simply be mended with an apology. My careless words had revealed a boundary I hadn't even realized existed. And now, the consequences loomed large. He walked past me toward the kitchen, each step deliberate, echoing in the room like a warning I couldn't ignore. My stomach twisted, my hands trembled, and I wanted to follow him, to reach out and undo what had just happened. But it wasn't that simple. His silence was a barrier, impenetrable and commanding. I understood then that even the strongest relationships are fragile, delicate constructs built on trust and awareness, and I had carelessly shaken the foundation. The evening, which had begun so lightheartedly, now hung over me like a storm cloud threatening to break. He returned carrying 2 glasses of water. His movements were slow, deliberate, careful. He didn't sit. He stood across the room, eyes fixed on me. The silence between us was loaded with tension, questions, and unspoken truths. I tried to speak, but my words felt inadequate, swallowed by the weight of the moment. The joke had not only revealed his hurt, it had forced me to confront my own ignorance, my lack of awareness of his boundaries, and the fragility of the trust that quietly underpinned our life together. Every heartbeat, every breath reminded me that one careless moment could change everything. Tears pricked my eyes as realization settled in. This wasn't just an awkward moment to laugh off. This was a pivotal fracture, a sudden exposure of hidden insecurities, vulnerabilities, and unspoken emotions neither of us could ignore. Our lives, our relationship, would never feel the same again. A playful joke had become a turning point. A mirror revealing what had been lurking beneath the surface all along. It was frightening, humbling, yet profoundly enlightening. Finally, he broke the silence, his voice calm but cutting. I don't know if I can just laugh this off. His words sliced through me, leaving no room for denial. I swallowed hard, realizing he was right. I had assumed a simple gesture would never matter, never hurt, never expose a crack. But the truth was undeniable. We had to confront it, face it, and navigate the fragile terrain that had just been revealed. This was a crossroads, a moment that would define us, whether for better or worse. We sat together quietly, the weight of the evening pressing down on us. No yelling, no blaming, just the understanding that the foundation of what we shared had shifted ever so slightly, but irrevocably. We had glimpsed each other's vulnerabilities in a way neither of us could forget. The trust that had once felt seamless, assumed, now needed rebuilding. Not through words alone, but through awareness, effort, and recognition of the delicate emotional balance holding us together. The night had changed us, for better or worse. Later, lying awake in the quiet dark, I understood the full impact of that fleeting joke. Love, I realize, is fragile. It's laughter and intimacy, yes, but it's also awareness, respect, and sensitivity to boundaries that may be invisible until crossed. The joke I made it seem harmless, but its consequences were profound. It revealed not only his depth of feeling, but the precariousness of trust and the fragility of the life we had built. In that silent, still night, I knew one thing. Everything between us had changed forever, and there was no returning to the innocence of before.